Hi everyone! In today's video, I want to show you how I did this butterfly design. It's not as simple as the ones that I've done before, but if you guys follow step by step, I'm sure that you can do it as well. But to start with, remember that you have to prep the nails very well. This is an important step. Since I have a plastic hand, the only thing I could do is file them. And afterwards, I started getting the form ready. You guys know that I usually never do nails with tips, but if you guys like it better that way, this would be the step to start getting it done. Something that helps me a lot when I do acrylic nails is do the cuts on the sides that I just showed you on the video. This serves me as a guide so I know where I have to be applying the acrylic on. Because sometimes it can be a little bit hard to know where you have to be applying it, since all of the nails are a little bit different. For today's video, I'm going to be doing almond shaped nails, but this time it's going to be a little bit different because I'm making them extra long. If you guys don't like it to be too long, it's fine. You can also do it with shorter nails. Once you guys apply the second bead, make sure that everything is well connected. Because what can happen is that it can dry out and there can be little bumps left. Once I'm done building up the nail, what I like to do is that I wait a few seconds until it's ready to apply pressure on the sides. What this is gonna do is that it's gonna make it look a lot more natural. Since I'm doing almond shaped nails, something different that we're gonna do is that we're gonna put the form slightly downwards, because once we start applying pressure on the sides, what can happen is that the nail can end up looking upwards and it can look a little bit strange. I don't show it on the video, but something that I always do when I do acrylic nails is that I always keep a paper on the side. And I use this to clean off the brush as often as possible, because you guys know that acrylic dries out by itself, so it cannot only dry on the nail, but it can possibly dry on the brush, and what can happen is that it can end up ruined. It's happened to me a few times, so I always recommend you to keep a paper on the side. I don't know if you guys can tell very well, but something that I do is that I close off the form a little bit more on the tip, and this is gonna help me do the almond shape that I'm looking for. Here I'm already building up the nail, and the first thing I like to do is that I put the first bead between the natural nail and the form, and in that way it's gonna make it a lot stronger and last longer. When you guys are doing this type of shape, make sure that the sides are as round as possible, because we want the nail to look like an actual almond. And for the last nail, I'm gonna be guiding you through everything that I'm doing so you guys can understand it better. The first thing is getting the form ready, and like I told you before, I like to close it a little bit more on the tip. And now I'm applying the first bead, and with this first bead I'm gonna be building up the shape that I'm doing, which is almond. And to finish up, I'm gonna apply the last bead, and I'm gonna apply it on top of the actual nail. First thing I'm gonna do is connect it with everything that I already done, and then I'm gonna keep pushing it upwards near the cuticle. And once we're done, we're obviously gonna be applying pressure on the sides so it can look more natural. And this is how the nails look like before we file them. But of course, filing is so important because it's going to be the base that we have before we start applying some color. And what I like to start with are the sides of the nail. And here I'm gonna make sure that the shape is completely done. Instead of putting the file straight, what we're gonna be doing is that we're gonna be making kind of like a round motion, if that makes any sense. And that's gonna help us file the almond shaped nail that we're doing. And this is how the nails look like after we're done filing the sides. But we're not completely done yet because we have to finish up filing the surface of the nail. And here, what we have to make sure is that there's no bumps left, so the design can end up looking clean. And what I like to do is that I start from the left side, I go up to the cuticle, down to the right side, and then I end up finishing up everything else. And this is how the filed nails look like. Now everything is done and we're ready to do the design. Before we start applying some color, you guys know that it's very important to always clean off the nails, because after filing there's gonna be dust left behind, and what can happen is that our gel polish can get dirty. For the base color, I'm gonna be using this really pretty baby pink nail polish that I think I actually used before, but I think it's gonna look really good with this design since the butterflies that we're gonna be doing are gonna be green. I don't know if you guys noticed, but I really like how the contrast between the pink and the green looks like, because I used it in so many of my tutorials. I'm gonna apply this color on top of all of the nails. And since this is a gel polish, we're gonna have to be curing it for about 30 seconds. You guys know that base colors can be kind of transparent sometimes. So what I like to do is that I go over it for maybe at least twice or 3 times until it's the color that I like. And of course, we're gonna have to be curing each time that we apply color. This is how the nails look like after we apply the base color. I think that it looks really pretty, and for this design it's gonna go really well. But before we start with the butterflies, I'm gonna seal everything with top coat. I recommend you guys to do this step because if we mess up some butterflies and we have to take them off, the base color is not gonna move. After I'm done applying it, I'm gonna crystallize everything for about 1 minute. This is how they ended up looking, but I didn't want the nails to have shine. So what I'm gonna be doing is that I'm gonna be going over them with this buffer, and I'm gonna carefully file them a little bit until they look matte like this. If you guys don't want it to be matte, you can skip this extra step. This is how the nails look like afterwards. Even though we filed them, the color is still there and it hasn't moved. Just like I mentioned you before, the butterflies that we're gonna be doing are gonna be in green. So to do that, I'm gonna be using this gel paint in color green that I just bought recently, and I'm gonna mix it with this white one. We're also gonna need a very thin nail art brush. If you guys want to see all the new things that I've been getting, I'm gonna do a haul that I'm gonna post it next week. So make sure you subscribe if you guys don't want to miss it. But now it's the fun part. This is when we can start getting the butterflies painted. And I'm gonna be explaining you how I'm doing these butterflies. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I'm making sure that they are pretty simple. So the first thing that I did is that I drew the overline of the butterfly, and then I went with the nail art brush and ended up covering everything. So everything can be well painted. What I recommend you guys to do is to first draw the shape of the butterfly and then end up painting everything else. The butterflies that I'm gonna be doing some are gonna be done with light green and others with dark green. So if you guys are gonna do it the same way, I recommend you to do all of the light green butterflies at the same time and then go with the dark green. It's gonna be much easier this way because otherwise you're gonna waste a lot of time cleaning the nail art brush. What I like about this design is that even though the butterflies are very simple, they are all different shapes, different sizes, and they all go in different directions. So I think that makes the design complete and it makes it a lot more interesting. And now that we're done with the light green, we're gonna go with the dark one. Even though I'm gonna be doing a lot less butterflies with the dark one, they're gonna be a lot bigger. Like for example, in this first one, I'm gonna do a full butterfly. If you guys are gonna do a full butterfly and you want it to be symmetrical, what I recommend you to do is first do one side. So for example, I first started with the left side and then I ended up doing the right one. If you guys like this design and you ended up doing it, remember that you can always send me a picture on my Instagram, which is called Reina Nails. And if you guys want to see more tutorials, I do a bunch of mini tutorials on my TikTok, which is also called Reina Nails. But I'm gonna leave all of that information down in the description box, just like always. If you guys have never used gel paint, it's a little bit different than gel polish because it's not as liquid. So when you guys are doing these butterflies, it's gonna be a lot easier because it's not gonna be moving around. But remember that with gel paint, you're gonna have to be curing it for about 1 minute, more or less. And this is how the nails look like after we're done with the butterflies. Like you guys can tell, it's still very simple. So what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna go and I'm gonna overline these butterflies with some black gel paint. But the way I'm gonna be overlining these butterflies are gonna be a little bit different than you would usually do because I don't want it to be perfect. I don't know how to explain it, but I guess you guys can see it on the video. I'm going to overline it in a way that you can still see the green. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I hope you guys can understand it better seeing the video. If you guys don't like it like this, that's fine. You can still do it in a perfect way and that's gonna look good as well. But I wanted my butterflies to be a tiny bit different. When you guys are doing this step, go slowly because once you use black gel paint, and if you get something dirty, it can be hard to clean it up. Like I told you before, once I'm doing these butterflies, I'm making sure that they go on different directions so the design can look more interesting. And I'm also gonna be doing this with this black gel paint. I'm gonna be doing everything that I told you on the rest of the nails. This is how the nails look like after we're done applying some black gel paint. I think that it makes it have more dimension, but I think that it still looks a little bit too simple, so I'm gonna be adding some white gel paint. The way I'm gonna be doing this is that I'm gonna use a dotting tool and I'm gonna go over the butterfly and I'm gonna do a bunch of different dots. I don't know if you guys can notice, but I'm making sure that all of the dots have different sizes. So some are gonna be bigger than others. And I think that that makes the design look a little bit more interesting. If you guys don't like this step, you can totally miss it because this is just something extra. Remember that you also have to be curing this gel paint. Mine has to be cured for about 1 minute, but you make sure to check how much yours has to, because sometimes depending on the brand it can vary. And here I'm gonna end up doing it just like I explained to you before. I don't know if you guys can notice, but I'm doing the dots on the end of the butterfly as well as the body. And this is how the nails look like after we're done applying the white. But something a little bit extra that I wanted to do is add some little details with this really pretty gold gel paint. And this part is a little bit hard to explain, but basically what I'm gonna be doing is that I'm gonna be adding some kind of like round little details all around. Like you guys can tell, they're very abstract, so it's kind of hard to describe them. But what I'm gonna be making sure is that they are all round and none of them are straight, because I want everything in this design to kind of have movement. And obviously, I'm gonna be curing everything for about 1 minute. This is how the final design looks like. I hope you guys liked it. I know that it can seem a little bit difficult, but once you guys follow the steps, I'm sure that you can do it as well. I think that for the springtime looks really pretty. I hope you guys liked this tutorial. If you did, please subscribe and like this video, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.